Welcome to class number 1 of our Farris amulet making class. I'm here in the workshop with John Farris, the extraordinary alchemist here in Sedona who is responsible for these beautiful amulets. And we're going to show you his work table now. So, hi John.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Welcome, Farris. Yeah, thank you
fun.
so much. I'm super excited.
So, this video is about prepping the workspace, yeah?
Yeah, I wanted to just give a little bit of setup and explain, you know, what makes for a good flow in my studio. I mean, obviously you're going to want to set it up what's a congruent flow for your energy and how you best work, but this is what I've been doing and it's been working for me. So
definitely does work for you. This stuff is amazing, and with all of the courses that are taught like this, the idea is to give you the tools that work for us, in this case for him, and then you're going to take them and twist them, do whatever you want to do with them, because it's one code. So it's whatever it is in its purest form is translated through Farris. And so then once he gives it to you, you can translate it through your own filters and make what works. So don't think that you have to do exactly what he does, but you can just see the way that it kind of works and then adjust it to whatever works best with you. So what do we have? How is it set up? So
I think the first thing is I can pretty much set up anywhere because it's a pretty simple setup. The things that I found really helpful for me is to have something that, instead of just having it on a hard table where things can, you can definitely see where things are going to roll around and be on the loose. So what I do is put a sheet down, so if I drop something, it doesn't go very far. It doesn't bounce and
see, I never would have thought of that. That would have taken me years.
Yeah, right?
And frustration.
Exactly. And having what you need where you want it. Obviously, I have all the tools within my hand's reach. My flow, I'm left-handed, so my flow of reaching for my tools would be obviously over here, and people that are right-handed would set it up the way that's most comfortable for them. And we're working with, Karis had shown you the spools of wire that we're working with. I'm not sure what you guys are going to order out there. Just for this educational purposes of this video, we've got the craft wire, and what I found that I needed to do was either it comes on a spool, and I tried many different ways to either take the label off and hang it up here, which works really good, but for my flow I don't really have anything to set up where I have a bar here to hang that. So what I did basically since the beginning is I made this little tray here and drilled some holes for a wooden dowel to stick in there. And so I can put my spool of wire on here and it easily unfurls. And there's a couple of different techniques. If you don't have this, you could hang it over a chair and then hang it down in a glass jar and it'll still spin out, which is a clever way if you don't have this set up. But be creative. You want something that's not going to be messy with a bunch of other wires hanging here that's going to get all wound up. So I just like to keep it clean and just have one, but experiment and see what works for you on that. And this table, I just have a lot of space for different things. I would probably like to be honest and say it's a little messier than it is right now, but we're, you know, for this we're keeping it clean and organized. So also I have a lot of little parts that I have set up that I put in my jewelry, so I have it organized on my table where I can reach things. A lot of the times I'll just have things laid out, so I'm just, oh okay, well that looks good, I can just grab this or I can just grab that and put it on real easy. So I usually have a little area that I just have my little doodads hanging there. And I wanted to also talk about the tools. I'm a really, for me, what's evolved is a very simple setup. I don't have a ton of tools that I work with. What I have works, and it's pretty basic.
Look, he says it's basic. Look at that. It's ridiculous. And I think that's the new paradigm of education and knowledge, is that you don't need to study things for years and years and decades anymore in order to make really incredible stuff if you just understand how to work with your materials.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. He is teaching you guys.
And so basically, I've stuck with the same tool since I started with, since I've been from the beginning. And I have some needle nose pliers here, as you can see, and they have a little spring. You could use some from the garage, but I like getting the jewelry ones that have a little spring on it, so you can work. And this one has a little bird chirp.
I like it. Brings in the nature. Calling in the fae.
Right. And then I have my wire cutters, which are needle nose and pretty precision, so I can get in very close to whatever work. It's got a flat side.
Is that for beading too? Is that where people would find it?
Yeah, these are all bead supplies. This is from Beadsmith. Beadsmith is the company that has a ton of different, whatever tool you need. And this handy tool is a pretty new one in my life. I definitely enjoy using this tool, and basically it is a pair of pliers that has a couple of pieces of plastic in it, and it is a handy dandy wire straightener. So I use it in a couple of different ways. Like when the basic wire I use for the structure of my pieces is this 18 gauge, and when it comes off the roll, you can see sometimes it's a little bent, or it's got a little crook in it or whatnot. So to be very efficient with using this tool, just as an example right now, is I'll hold the wire, pinch the 18 gauge in here, and then pull the wire, and you can see it instantly straightens it.
Oh wow, yeah, that's way better than you could just do with your hands.
Yeah, and I used to, and I still do, like I'll cut a length off, and let's say it's, it's a little bit whatever. I will definitely, if I don't feel like working with that tool, I will work it out. And I definitely, we talked about this the other day, I think it's putting some energy, it's okay, well, I'm really putting a lot of care into this.
Well, yeah, you could take things that are kind of magnetized, like you could, whatever it is, iron that, whatever kind of metal it is that pulls the iron, and if you rub the wire for a long time and then put it around iron filings, that does, it becomes magnetic. Yeah, so before you're working with this stuff, it's good to, warm your hands up and then hold the crystals and put your intention in, and then just make sure that your energy is all over your stuff when you're working with it, because then it's automatically aligned to what you want it to do. It's going to be a lot easier to work with. Do you ever find that sometimes your materials, like, they want to work with you and sometimes it's like they don't? Do you ever get frustrated with them? Yeah,
and at that point I just go out and play with the land.
Yeah, that's part of it, is knowing when to step away from your work table.
Indeed.
So the things that they're going to need to get started are what, do you think?
Okay, so the basics, I would say definitely the needle nose pliers, definitely the wire cutters that are pointed and flat on one side. You won't see those in the catalogs. The wire straightener is optional. If you don't really want to buy that, you can just do the hand method. And I enjoy having the extra things that I have in my studio is a Dremel. If I wanted to, let's say there was a sharp point that I couldn't really reach with my pliers, or really wanted to smooth something out, I can use this tool in a lot of different ways to buff the wire, to file down something that's sharp here, or even if there's a rough or a sharp edge on a crystal, I've got a tool that I can just attach in here and then smooth that down so nobody's going to get cut on that. So, and obviously I like a little bottle of glue for different, if there's, I mostly wrap with wire, and if I feel like there's a stone that through the course of time may loosen up and I want to ensure that this is not going to come out, I will put a little dab of glue on the back to the wire or something like that to secure it. So
But for this, you guys don't really need that. Although it's handy to have a bottle of super glue somewhere in your house, but if you don't, that's not.
It's not necessary here. Yeah. And obviously, lighting is super important. I just enjoy having the magnification of some reading glasses. I wear those when I work so I can get really my fine detail work in clear vision up close. And the other things that I really are super important to me when I'm setting up a studio, my studio when we move and whatnot, is to have a space that feels good to you. That, okay, well, if I can look out the window, or I can be in a place that's pleasant to me, have a comfortable chair. Being comfortable is probably the most important part of being in a positive mindset, because how you're feeling and what you're doing and where your space is affects the energy that goes into your pieces. So I'm very mindful of what music I'm listening to, my mood. If I'm in a crappy mood or I'm processing something, I just step away and clear that, go to the land, because I just want to be in a really positive, nurturing space, so that energy is transferred to the jewelry that people like to come to me for. So.
Well, it works, because your stuff all feels amazing.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for making it.
Yeah.
So when you're wrapping, when you're doing whatever, when you're constructing it, whatever that means according to the step, be aware that whatever vibration you're holding, so whatever thoughts are running through your mind, and more than thoughts, whatever feelings, emotions are in your body, are moving through you, we're conductors, into what you're making. Then every time you spin it, bend it, wrap it, crimp it, whatever it is you're doing, that locks into the energy. So just make sure that before you do it, maybe take a few deep breaths, maybe set some intentions for the piece you're working on. Just keep remembering, maybe do a mantra of what you want the piece to be, what you want it to represent the whole time you're working on it. And it'll also then, in your mind, as you look at it, or when you give it to a gift, it holds that, and then also just psychologically it'll remind you whenever you look at it, because you'll be reminded of this whole process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what crystal are you going to wrap, do you think?
Well, I wanted to show you guys a couple of different things, different, I guess, shapes, or, I guess shapes that you would encounter that, everything that you're going to wrap is not just going to be a crystal point, So I wanted to show a couple of different, configurations that would be beyond just the crystal point. And I'm going to, I'll show you how to wrap a sphere. And this is a really sweet little girasol crystal. I thought we're going to talk about how to clear and charge a crystal, so I picked this one, which is more of a, instead of a, this is very smooth, how to capture that and keep that groovy. That's one way, or one thing to wrap. And also more of a cluster. A lot of crystals come in, clusters and different shapes. And for example, this one is got some different edges. And I do like looking for shapes that I can put a wire around and still leave, like the face very open and pretty. Like there's a ton of stuff to, I call attached to on the back here, where you could really pretty much leave that whole face open. And that's just my style. A lot of people, the style that's evolved and come through me does not involve small stuff. And I have maximum respect for those people out there that, can work with the micro crystals, and they've got a ton of different things. I love that style, but that is not what comes through me. So I work with bigger stuff, and I'll show you how to get around the sphere, and probably this guy here.
What is that? Is that
this is like a smoky quartz that somebody has faceted in just a really fun shape.
Check that out.
So
why don't we talk about the clearing? So
yes.
Since you mentioned it. Why would someone clear their crystal, and what is your method? Because this is a pretty easy and super effective method.
Yeah. Well, as science has discovered, it's not just metaphysical woo-woo, that crystals carry information, hold information, store information, receive information, transmit information.
And that's what's used in cell phones, right?
And computers and watches. Mm-hmm. And I think they even did a study where Harvard or Princeton University had put a message somehow digitally into a crystal, and then they took it somewhere else and was able to read the message. So mm-hmm. It's like, okay, well, something's going on here. Mm-hmm. So if you think this crystal, obviously when it came out of the ground, it was pretty pure, I would say, you know, other than whatever happened to it on the transport or whatever, it's pretty pure. But it's passed, every time that somebody touches it, looks at it, it's in an environment that maybe not be so positive or positive, it's picking up the positive and negative energies. And a lot, I would definitely clear the stones that you get from stores. You know, they've been on the shelf in this place for however, you don't know how long it's been in there. And people have been picking it up and transferring their energy to it. So just to have something, kind of a clean slate, let's just clear the crystal. I always come home and intend that I'm going to clear this crystal before I start working. And so the person, the commission or the piece that I'm working on is in its highest and purest form when I put it out in the world. So the there's a couple of ways that I'll talk about. I have a little more souped up version than just your normal way, so I'll share that. You could take whatever feels good to you guys and discard the rest. So water and salt, Himalayan crystal salt, is a great way of clearing a crystal. Also taking it out on the land and burying it overnight is a great way to clear a crystal. But basically, I have a bowl of water here which I put some Himalayan crystal salt. You know, obviously you want to have the crystal covered, and I would say, you know, a time limit, whatever you feel is right, you know, overnight is fine, couple hours. But if you just have that intention that, okay, well, I'm going to put this crystal in this water and soak it in the salt water, which pulls out the crystal, the Himalayan crystal salt is really an amazing product in and of itself as a purifying.
Yeah, there are a couple of types of crystal that you wouldn't want to soak in salt water because it might break them down.
Thank you for that.
So just do an internet search, because I don't know what all of them are. So
like selenite.
Yeah, selenite is one, which is the kind with the white. It's white and not really see through.
Here's some right here.
This guy, yeah.
But it's
because they'll dissolve in salt. And so what you can do if you're using crystal like that is you could put the salt maybe under the bowl.
Or a bed of salt.
Yeah, or you could put a bed of salt just on a plate and just sit a crystal on top of it. Usually I just run mine under cold water for a while with the intention that the cold water just take off anything that's no longer needed and just kind of hold it there under the faucet until it's done, and then dry it really well with a lint-free cloth and then call it good. Yeah. But whatever works. I mean, I would say that for a piece like this, definitely at least do something overnight, I would think, to make sure it's really clear, because you're about to put a lot of stuff in it while you work with it.
Yeah. I like the running water technique too. The dry salt is great. Even smudging it is really sweet. The next level for, let's say I was going to do a piece and I wanted to just, okay, I'm going to let this sit overnight, and I've actually done a little crystal layout. These are all double terminated crystals, and we all have heard about the power of words and water and how they interact and absorb the energies of each other. I just took it to the next level, and this is basically a sacred symbol, and I've written the words blessings, prosperity, health, and God force, and I just put that under the water, let it sit overnight. It's got these crystals programmed to transmit energy, so this is really getting juiced up while it's sit here. So So there is that, and yeah, do you have anything more to add on that one?
Just that it might, what I normally tell people when they're looking for crystals, if it's not something they just find while they're outside, is when you get home after you have gotten the crystal, or if they have research books at the crystal store, a lot of places that sell crystals will have like a crystal Bible there or something that you can look for the purposes of your crystal, or you can just do an internet search. Find what energies the crystal is good at holding that you picked. I don't think, I mean, if you want to do it backwards, like say, okay, you want to open up your intuition, then you might go get an amethyst. Or if you're working on love, you might go get a rose quartz or something. But if you just are called to something and you don't know why, go and find out what its properties are. And then when you work with it, when you set intentions, you can kind of tailor the intentions to what the crystal naturally holds. And it's only a search that would take you 10 or 15 minutes, and it could really up the effectiveness of what you're creating.
Super cool.
So,
yeah.
Yay. So what's the first step? We'll teach them, what do you think? One way to begin and then close out lesson one? Yeah,
let's see. So let's do the sphere. Let's start with that. Or let's see, should we do something? Let's see. Yeah, do the sphere. Okay, so we'll do the sphere first. I'm going to try, do we have enough time for a couple of
Actually, I think we're about to be out of battery. Okay, so I think we should just...
So, let's see. I have, okay, so basically all of my wire I'm using for my structural framework, if you will, of the crystal is going to be the 18 gauge, which has got some nice firmness to it. And I like the gold over the copper and the silver 18 gauge because this is the it's the sturdiest. The others are a lot softer. And so let's say I have a piece of 18 gauge here, and what I want to do, what I'm ending up with here is I took the time to make this already so we could condense the time-lapse photography here. And what I've done is taken, so we have the 18 gauge, now I have some 24 gauge that, I'm going to cut a little strip of this. So I have, what I'm going to end up with is the 18 gauge that's got the 24 gauge wrapped on it with a smaller gauge wrapped on that. So if you want to come in and see exactly what this...
Oh yeah, we showed it in a second.
Okay.
So how long, for a crystal that big, how long will they want to cut the, like how did you choose how to cut the 18 gauge?
Yeah, basically you're going to be wrapping around this a couple of times. So
just big enough to wrap.
I would say, yeah, if you have a little bit of extra, I would say probably 6 to 8 inches is what I've got here.
Perfect. So that's like for like a 1-inch crystal?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we should probably stop it there. We're out of time, I think. So.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So guys, cut your wire, get your crystal. We'll pick up the next time.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.